And we go marching on into our first episode. Welcome to Some Like It Hotspur. I am Jake Liker, and alongside me is Anthony DeBundo. Anthony, how you doing?
Pretty good. Real excited for the upcoming season. Good to find someone else that also loves Spurs like I do. It's fantastic.
I know. You know, when you're outside the UK, it gets pretty hard to find somebody that likes a team like Tottenham. It's pretty much Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, and then you kind of have to cross your fingers to find anybody else. Oh, and Arsenal, of course. But yes, Infinity Sports Network now has a Tottenham Hotspur specific show. The show about the team in North London, talked about by me from Los Angeles and Anthony from Philadelphia, because there really are Spurs fans all over the world. It's 7:08 p.m. here in LA. It's 10:08 p.m. in Philly. And in North London right now, it is
3 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you. 3 a.m. So if any of you are up over in London at 3 a.m. and you're listening, major props. We will love you forever. But there's some players we won't love forever, and that brings us to our first topic. We're going to talk about transfers because it's summer, and that tends to be the main topic of discussion in the world of soccer. First up, Younes Kaboul, the center back, the Frenchman, the captain. Oh, captain, my captain. He's no longer our captain. He is off to Sunderland. Anthony, thoughts?
I'll tell you, he had a good year 2 years ago, but, he really couldn't get himself into the team last year. And bringing in Alderweireld and then bringing in Kevin Wimmer, there really wasn't a place for him in the team. I'd rather him go somewhere where we can make money off of him by selling him and give him a chance to play, because he really was a good player and had some great moments in the Spurs uniform. So, I'm upset to see him go, but in reality, it was the right decision. He just wasn't the same player last year, especially at the beginning of the year. He was just awful.
Yeah, you would think that somebody has to go. At one point, we had 7 center backs on this club. 7. Somebody had to leave, and it just turned out that Younes left. £4 million. That's a nice little pickup for a guy like Younes, who again didn't have the greatest of seasons and really wasn't going to see that much play time anyway. To another guy who was just brought in last year. He's gone through the revolving door and is off to PSG. Benji Stambouli. Now, when I heard about this, I really kind of just rubbished this one. Because what on earth could PSG use Benjamin Stambouli for? But lo and behold, it happened.
Yeah, I was really surprised by this one because it was one of the first signings that Pochettino really had control over once he became manager, and he brought him in, and he really never gave him a great shot. He played him a little bit when Nabil Bentaleb was over in the African Cup of Nations, but other than that, he really didn't get that much of a chance. I guess Pochettino just realized that he wasn't the guy, and they sold him. I mean, they really do need center midfielders at this point. They don't have a lot at the club. They sold 4 this summer alone, so I'm surprised that they let him go early. But, I trust Pochettino. I think he just didn't see what he wanted to see out of Stambouli. He sent him away.
Yeah, it's not the deal that we had originally hoped for. Everyone was talking about perhaps Adrien Rabiot for Stambouli and cash. But even the fact that we were able to get PSG, of all clubs, to pay money for Stambouli, it does work out well, but that's another midfielder gone. And this Spurs midfield is getting mighty thin, and they're going to have some issues to sort out. They're certainly good on the back four, but after that, it's a unique problem for Spurs to have. Normally, it's the defense that's the problem, but right now, the midfield's looking kind of thin. And at striker, you have Harry Kane, and then your second option is Virgil Sultan. Perhaps there's some people that we could bring in, which brings us to buy or sell. We've got 6 transfer rumors to talk about. And Anthony, I want to know if you buy it or you sell it. First up, Sky Sports reports that Yannick Bolasie from Crystal Palace. Tottenham are interested. Buy or sell?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to buy this one. I think Bolasie really had a good year at Palace. He's a pacey winger who doesn't really score goals, which is not exactly what Pochettino's looking for. But he's a guy that can really get behind the defense. And I think that was a big problem for Spurs last year when they would play teams that were like a Burnley or like a Crystal Palace. They couldn't break them down. Bolasie is the type of guy who you give him the ball and he'll beat his man, and then he'll send in good crosses. And he really actually killed Spurs in the second meeting with a bunch of dangerous crosses, and he ended up having an assist in that game. So I really think Bolasie is a guy that I could see succeeding at Spurs, and I think he's ready for the next step, a step up from Palace.
What is interesting is that, of course, Tottenham aren't the only team that are being reported as connected with Yannick Bolasie. Also, Aston Villa and West Ham have apparently joined this race in Bolasie, who's said to be valued at £20 million. A winger, it could be an improvement for this club, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think it's feasible, and I don't think he's the kind of player that fits into what Pochettino is trying to make of his club. But is Saido Berahino? Yes, Saido Berahino from West Brom, according to ESPN. Tottenham is very interested and is perhaps even already lined up a bit. Buy or sell?
I also buy this one. I think there were rumors in January that they were going after Berahino, and here we are again in July, and there's interest again. I think once they couldn't get Danny Ings, once Ings chose to go to Liverpool, I thought he was always the second guy that they should go after, because I firmly believe that after the Soldado failure, you have to go with the guy that's been in England before, and I think Berahino's a good striker. I think if the price is right, he's worth it.
When you look at who this rumor is coming from, at first you see tomorrow the back page of the Daily Mirror is going to feature a big page. If you look at the Twitter account at Hotspur Related right now, you can find that cover with the caption, large letters, "You better believe it, Spurs want Saido and Harry as a striking dream team." And while I'd love for it to happen, when you see Daily Mirror, you kind of roll your eyes. But then you hear ESPN is buying this, and as is Daily Mirror. So we have heard rumors about this before. Berahino, I'm pretty sure, doesn't want to be at West Brom. I would buy it. I think this absolutely could happen, especially with guys like Soldado or Adebayor, perhaps out the door. But lastly, for guys perhaps arriving, according to Bild, this is a far-fetched one that kind of came out of left field. Bild are claiming that Spurs have made an approach for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, forward from Borussia Dortmund. Buy or sell, Anthony?
I'm selling 100%. In fact, I don't buy it at all. I would be beyond shocked if he found himself in a situation where he came to Spurs. I just don't think that. I mean, Dortmund struggled last year, but I think that they're a bigger club than Spurs are, for sure. I mean, they made a Champions League final. I just don't see him in any way coming to Spurs. But I like to see it, sure, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, earlier today, another team also jumped into the race. It's Arsenal. And I have a feeling I know how this is going to end if it's Tottenham versus Arsenal trying to get Aubameyang. But I don't really picture Dortmund letting Aubameyang leave. A big part of that club. Jurgen Klopp, he's already gone now. They struggled last year, and letting Aubameyang go could just be what opens the floodgates for an absolute disaster there. So I'm going to sell that as well. But will Tottenham sell another of the quote-unquote Bale 7, Vlad Kirikesh, yes, bad Vlad, the center back, to Fiorentina, according to Forza Italia?
I actually hadn't heard this rumor. I didn't know that he was linked. If we can get him out, please do. I mean, he was atrocious. How he managed to ever play for a club like Spurs is unbelievable. He's awful. So, the quicker he gets out, the better, especially since they do have 6 center backs. And I'd like to get down to 5, at least, maybe even 4. So, I hope it works. I really don't know whether to buy or sell.
Yes, at this point, I just want to see Kirikesh leave. Hasn't he done enough already? Yes, he's an entertaining guy, but if we could get somebody to buy him for actual money, I would be thrilled. And apparently Galatasaray are also interested, according to the Telegraph. So the rumors keep swirling. I don't know why either of these clubs would want Kirikesh, but if PSG is going to take Stambouli off our hands, then anything's possible, so I'll buy it. Meanwhile, the Emmanuel Adebayor saga continues, and it takes another turn. Remember, of course, that Adebayor flourished under the short time that Tim Sherwood was interim manager. And now he's gone. Villa has Tim Sherwood. And Emmanuel Adebayor apparently liked this post on Instagram saying the odds continue to be slashed on Emmanuel Adebayor linking up once more with Tim Sherwood at Villa. Would you like to see Adebayor at Villa? And it's a picture of him in a Spurs shirt saluting Tim Sherwood, taken from 2 seasons ago.
As someone who is a big Tim Sherwood fan, I would love to see this move, especially since Villa are going to lose Christian Benteke. They're going to need a striker, and Adebayor really fits the mold of what Tim Sherwood wants to do, and that's why he was successful under Sherwood. He was fantastic, and I think once Sherwood left, things started to spiral downwards for Adebayor, and then it just, he really hit a low point a couple months ago, with family issues and stuff. So I think he needs to change scenery, and not even just for the fact that he doesn't have a place at Spurs. I think it's better and it's good for him. I'd be happier for him if he could get a move to a situation where he's more comfortable, and I really hope this does happen.
Yeah, there has been a lot of off-pitch issues with Adebayor, and there's certainly no shortage of opinions among Spurs fans. Some resent him and want him gone. Some feel bad for him. But almost no one is willing to give him another chance. And I think if Adebayor is going to find any club at this point that's willing to take him for his baggage and his talent, it would be a Tim Sherwood club over at Aston Villa. It makes sense to me. I would love to see it happen. So it may be wishful thinking, but I'll buy it. I'll buy it. But with Sevilla by Roberto Soldado, that is our 6th and final buy or sell question. AS report that Sevilla are interested in Roberto Soldado. Buy or sell?
I also think that Soldado's best move is to go back to Spain, where he was very successful with in Spain. He scored a lot of goals. That's what got him moved to England. But in 2 years, he really never adjusted. And I've never been a Soldado fan, so I think a move away is where he needs to find himself. And I know Galatasaray were interested earlier and never happened. I think Soldado would never accept a move there. But I think I could see him going to Sevilla. And Sevilla are a club that have had a lot of success the last couple of years. They're replacing Carlos Bacca, who they lost, and they just won the Europa League. So Champions League football next year.
I certainly wouldn't be upset if Soldado left. But he is a he is a fan favorite of this club, which is surprising to me. At least over here in America, that's what we hear. That Soldado is the fan favorite. They already have a chant for him. Soldado, the man from Spain.